What up, everybody? Welcome to Coffee Hour. My name is Paul Abernathy. Thanks for joining me on Coffee Hour. Available to all electricians out there. If you're a plumber, I'll let you come. Thanks for joining me, and hopefully you've had a good week up to this point. We're at Thursday. One more day. Well, 2 more days. Got to get through the day. Hopefully you've learned something through the week, not only on the show, but in the field. You picked up something. We always want to strive to learn something. Whether it's pick up a little task here or there, or a little tip that makes the job easier, anything that you can pick up and lock away. And then, of course, it's your responsibility to share it with others down the road. If you want to share your little tips and experiences, things not to do because you've done it wrong and you've learned to do it right, and you're like, I might as well share it with the next person so they don't do it wrong and experience it. Or some people say, hey, I'm just going to let them do it wrong so they can enjoy the experience. I don't recommend that one. I recommend you teach somebody something every day. Thanks for joining me again here on Coffee Hour. Hopefully to get your day started, have your cup of joe. I've got it in our licensed tradesman mug, okay, available in black and white. Master electrician mug, because that's what I be. So some people ask a couple questions real quick before we get started. Now, introduction. So do me a favor, as always, let me know who you are, where you're from, what you got going on. If you're testing, if you've already tested, whatever you got, want to share with us, feel free to do so. If you got a code question you want to post in there that we can discuss, I may or may not know the answer. Okay, I'm not the, as I tell people, I'm not Mike Holt here. Okay, I'm Paul Abernathy. I'm doing my thing. So at the end of the day, we're going to be looking at code questions again today. Now, these are going to be out of your final. And so the final application, okay, I don't, David, I saw that. I don't do reasoning. I'm not a reasoning guy. I just tell people to follow the code. You'd have to, one of the things about the reasoning behind something is that you have to go and, you kind of have to go and think, and I'll look at it, but you have to go look at public inputs. You have to go see what the reasoning was behind the code panel's decision and the person that submitted the public input, right? That's always the best way to think about the reasoning, that type of thing, okay? So that thing, but we can look at it, but I probably couldn't tell you the reasoning behind it. I sadly, I don't spend time doing that anymore. I don't go looking for why the code panels do this or that. It's just they're submitted and they come in, but there's other people. Ryan Jackson does a great job of that because he researches that stuff. I don't research that stuff, so I just teach people the code, but I don't get into the reasoning. I teach it, and that's it, that type of thing. So a bad word for me is the reasoning, because I don't get into reasonings why, or I do very little research into why they did it unless I'm doing something for a court case or as expert witness, that type of thing. So we can go look at it, but the reasoning part, we'd have to go look at the history, and that would take too long on a coffee hour to dig into reasoning, that type of thing. Now, if you had sent that to me at paulabernathy.com, then I probably could have done a little research. As I tell you folks, if you've got questions like that and you want to ask things like why they might have done this, what did the code panel say, you got to send it to me, paulabernathy.com. Very few of you do that, okay? If you got these detailed questions that really get into things like why they do stuff, well, it may take a little more research. But do me a favor, in the comments, let me know who you are, where you're from, what you got going on. And David, I'll see if we can go look at that. But I'd have to go look at the history of why they did it. And that's why we keep the public comments and public input, so we can kind of do it. The problem is the code making panels, and I am on 2 of them. And I'm not on that one, okay? Ask the hog, see what they say. And we could probably do that. But at the end of the day, I just don't go into the history of why things do that. That's why I also don't collect code books, because I don't really care what happened in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. I really don't care. You know what I'm saying? It's one of my things. Other people do. I don't. But I'll go research it if I have to do it for like for like a deposition, or if I'm going to be in court or something, or I need to give expert, but Yeah, I stopped trying to memorize all those things years ago. Okay, but we'll go look at that code section. All right, let's do some shout outs real quickly before we get into it. We're going to look at some code questions today. They come out of the final exams in your database package. Okay, so some of these may look familiar if you're in your final exams, that type of thing. All right, let's see here. Electrode installers, there you go. What's up, Douglas? Glad to have you here. Paul, glad to have you here this morning. Adam's in the house. All good. Glad to have you here. Rob's in the house. All good. Glad to have you here, Rob. Moving through these pretty quickly. David, glad to have you here, my friend. Tara's got the win in the house. Glad to have you here, Tara. There's her good morning. She let us know right there. Good morning. Frank's in the house. It's almost Friday. It's getting here. Let's see here. What's up, Marlon? Glad to have you here, my friend. Welcome, as always. Rob is sporting the multi-platforms today. He's over on the Fast Tracks Tube watching today. Let's see here. Good morning, Francis from Jersey, up in Jersey. Good morning. Jonathan's in the house. Tennessee. Tennessee's contingency is in the house today. Marlon's from Tampa, Florida. Here's David's. David, I just wanted to show that. We will look at it. I'm wondering if you could explain the reasoning in 230.75. Probably there is a change in there, but I don't know about the reasoning for the change, but we most certainly will go look at it. Let's see here. What's up, JPB? What is up? Guten Morgen. What's up, Santana? Let's see here. That's the thing. That's going to be the coffee hour thing. Saying good morning to everybody in as many languages as you can throughout the year. How about that? That's a challenge. So everybody's going to use translation online, little gadgets in order to get every morning come up with a new good morning in whatever language you can and see how many languages we can cover by the end of the year, right? What's up, AJ? Glad to have you here. Good morning, all. Haas up in Richmond, Virginia area. Good morning. What's up, Cray? In the house. Adam says, let's ask the hog. We can ask the hog. We'll ask the hog whatever question we want to ask the hog today. I got him tuned up. What's up? Florida Unlimited License Contract Exam is in the bag, folks. Congratulations. Made a big difference on the exam. Well, congratulations. Hold on. Wait a minute. I got stuff for that. Yeah, I do. Got stuff for that. That's what I'm talking about, Mitch. Congratulations, my friend. Let's see here. Dave's quantifying says, well, my question is incorrect. I just want to understand what that part really says. Which part of it, David? Go on and post us the question exactly, because now I'm confused. What part of it you're asking about? That's the problem with the platform, folks. That's why paulabernathy.com is so good, because it allows you to make sure that I understand exactly what you're talking about. So I have no earthly idea of your question, what part of it, how it applies to 230.75 or whatever. It makes it difficult. Chat can be difficult because I don't know exactly where you're going. So I'll do my best. But please, we don't want to bogart the time with it. We just want to, kind of give me what you exactly want, and I'll do my best to try to answer it. What's up, George? Y'all know I will always try. George is watching over on the tube. Good morning. Adrian, good morning. Okay, let's see here. Rob's got a question. Says, do you keep all the code books that you have bought and used? No, I do not. I like I said, I use Link. I'm in electronics. I am not a historian. Okay, I always tell people this, make this clear, because you have all these code guys out there. I've been doing this for nearly 40 years. I've had, obviously, my share of code books. People are collectors, but the people that collect them, they really don't ever go back and read them. They just collect them. And everybody's got to have a hobby, right? I used to collect nutcrackers for years. I have tons of nutcrackers. It made it easy for my wife to know what to get me for Christmas. So she just buy me a nutcracker. Steinbach nutcrackers. My goal was to own all of them, but after a while, they had no damn place to put them. And so I started going, shit, I don't pull these out but once a year. I don't leave them out all the time. Screw it. Stop buying me nutcrackers. So I just ended it. Some people collect records. Some people collect code books. I do not. So for me, since Link came out, I have access to all old code books electronically, going back many years. So, and if it's not the exact one they have, I can get the one before or after, and I can see where something, if I'm looking for something, something may have not be in the, say, one edition, and then there's no electronic edition, and then the next one, it's in that one, so that can reasonably look and see, well, it had to come in this period. So for expert witness and depositions, I only need to be close. And really what they want me to do is explain the code. So I don't really have to do a history lesson for them. Now, as far as on the website, you can actually go into NFPA's website and you can see copies. And sometimes they're just print copies and you have to flip through a hell of a lot of them. But you can get the information. So I research it that way. I use the digital now. I really don't. I mean, I probably have some code books going back a couple of cycles, but I usually beat mine to death, and especially when I was in the field and using them in the office and everything. I just beat them to death. So, I mean, I have the 2023, I have the 2020, I have the 2017, and I believe I have, funny is I don't think I have a 2014. But I have a 2011, and then that's it. And I don't even know where those are because we moved and I still haven't unpacked them. I do have the 2023 available, that type of thing, because I use it when I teach a class up here in Richmond area about once a month or something like that, and I'll just crack out the code book. But I'm an electronic guy. I am not a historian, so no, I'm not a collector. I usually get rid of them. Let's see here. What's up, Terrence? Thanks for coming. I mean, some people collect. I'm just saying. Let's see. Marlon says that he took the business first. You're in there now. There you go. Buenos dias. Good morning, Seattle. I'm probably saying that right. Let's see here. Everybody's congratulating Mitch. Congratulations again, Mitch. What's up, Manny? Okay, we do have to get that picture changed over on TikTok, though. I'm just saying. What's up, Fitzgerald? Good morning. Filipino. I'm currently working here in Cayman as an electrician. I find your videos very helpful. Well, great. I'm glad you enjoy them. Hopefully you have a subscription to Fast Tracks Tube because you get a lot more detailed videos over there. If you're not familiar with where Fast Tracks Tube is, well, it is right there over on fasttrackstube.com. Check it out if you don't have it. What's up, Mike? Glad to have you here. Let's see here. Marlon says, sir, could we file a complaint on an AHJ? Can you file a complaint on an AHJ? Depends on what you're qualifying an AHJ. You can file a complaint on anybody. Okay, so open process. They're public servants. The AHJ, a lot of times I explain to people, and these are great questions, folks. Bring your questions, okay? Because we're just going to look at code questions today, so we got time to answer questions. The AHJ may be the building official, and it may be just a supervisor, or it may be even extend down what we call deputies to the AHJ, which is the electrical inspector. So when you say AHJ, it's broad. But can you file a complaint against an electrical inspector? Absolutely, you can. You can go to their supervisor. You can file an official complaint. Can you go above their head and go to the building official? Absolutely. Can you file a complaint on the building official? Absolutely. You can go to a city manager, or you can go to open mic night at community board, or whatever the board meetings they have usually monthly in a city. You can go there on open mic night and say, I'd like to file a formal verbal complaint against a public figure or public servant. Yeah, you can do this. Now, people say, why would I do it? The repercussions. Well, at the end of the day, if they do retaliate, then that's even worse. And the bigger mouth you are, the bigger attention you're going to get. So if it's something, again, if it's a little something, try to go over their head and do it that way. I wouldn't shake the leaves too much, because you never know what's going to fall out the tree. But yeah, you most certainly can complain, that type of thing. But make sure that if you do complain, make sure you have the goods. Okay, so make sure you are in the right. And it's not that line of extreme gray where they could be right and you could be right, but it's an interpretation because at the end of the day, they're charged with making those decisions. So you're never going to win those. But black and white things, obvious things, forcing you to do something with no code, no justification, then I do tell people to challenge it. Okay, that type of thing. Okay, I'm just saying. Let's see. Hello there. Good morning. I currently study for the E1 test. Need a good course on PV systems. I haven't had a real experience with them yet. Okay, so E1, you are not going to pass or fail the exam because of PV. You may think you will, but you will not. I have taken the E1, E2, and E3. PV is not going to, I would not spend a lot of time in PV and think that that's going to make and break you passing an E1 exam. I would not. That's a wrong way to study. I have people that do that, that do call me and they go, Paul, I failed it by one question, and they what they remember is a couple of the questions they think they got wrong because you don't know, and then they hyper focus on that, and then they want me to teach them something basic on. Oh, I think I failed if I knew motors better. I'm like, no, you didn't fail because of motors, because when you fail an exam, you failed it by a lot more questions. So I tell people don't get hyper focused. Now, when it comes to PV. We're going to do some episodes on here, some different PV things, but PV is pretty simple. If you follow the principles and you're into the code and you're looking at 690 and you follow the pieces. But usually on an exam, there's not that many on PV that's going to make a difference, that type of thing. So please, all I can tell you is don't get hyper-focused. As far as a course, I'm not aware. John Wiles, I know that there's a program or a book that you can get from the IAEI that was written by John Wiles. John Wiles is one of him and Bill Brooks are what I consider the two experts. Everybody else, we dabble in it. But Bill Brooks and John Wiles are the experts when it comes to PV. So I would go to IAEI, and I believe they have a book on PV, and it is really good. You'll learn a lot in that book. Okay, so IAEI, International Association of Electrical Inspectors. So just type that in a search engine and then put photovoltaic book after it. John helped write that book. Bill's got some good stuff. It's really good. If you Google Bill Brooks on YouTube, you'll find a bunch of his stuff too, which is really good too. So that type of thing. But please don't think that it was the PV that caused you to fail, because it's impossible. There's not enough on it. I know it may feel like it, but it's not. What's up, Greg? Good morning. Let's see here. Mitch says, thanks, everyone. Funny how a lifetime of work can accumulate into one exam on one day, and then the explosion of success when you do pass it, or the confinements of implosionary failure can cause us to go on a spiral down and get depressed. It happens. I have a podcast on that. Again, you're not alone, and people, the euphoria of success where you finally exhale and you've passed this exam, you're like, it's over with. But it's not, because you continually want to keep learning, that type of thing. But a lot of people that fail exams go into this regression. And what happens is they'll go into it and they'll stop studying. And they'll say, I'll take it later, and they don't. They will go backwards on that. And I tell people all the time, don't. Grab it by the reins. It's like a riding a bucking bronco. Get your ass back on it, and you'll get it. Don't give up. Never give up on it. Too many good things can come out of licensure, right? People say, well, I don't need a license where I'm at or whatever, even if it's, they don't have to have it in the job. I tell people all the time, no, it's that bucking bronco you want to be on. You want to master it. You want to stay at it. It's personal. Whether you need it for the money or advancement or promotion, for me, it's personal. Getting licensure, everywhere I went, I had to have my license, my master's. So I went from Virginia. Well, I grew up in Virginia, born and raised in Virginia, the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, and I went to Texas. Immediately had to get my master's in Texas. Okay, I was like, no, if I'm in Texas, I'm going to be a master in Texas. Now, I never worked for a company where I had to be the master in all these states and be the license holder. I just wouldn't do that. Not me. Many people do that. But I was like, no, I'm in Texas, and I would not feel right if I didn't get my master's in Texas. So I got my master's in Texas. Okay. Didn't get it given to me. Didn't give it sake. And I helped write their exam, but I didn't say, oh, it's Paul. Here's your license. Nope. I tested like anybody else and took my master's in Texas. So same as the way I did in Virginia back in the 80s. So, at the end of the day, it just means something. I'm just saying. Let's see here. Yeah, Manny, go change it. Although that is a cool one over on TikTok, but I like the green code nerd better. I'm just saying. E1 is electrical inspector. I was. E1, E2, and E3. E1 is a residential. E2 is commercial. E3 is plans examiner. That type of thing. So, yep. Good morning, Dylan. 1 hour and 47 minutes. I'm feeling confident. Vibes. Everybody give Dylan some vibes here. Good vibes. You're going to get this. I feel confident in you, right?
Woo, 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 woo. Big dog.
Stay focused. Use the three-wave method. Three-wave method. Use it. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see. Where are we at here? What's up, Angel? Good morning. Glad to have you here. I'm catching up here, folks. David, good morning. Glad to have you here out in San Diego early this morning. Coming up after that, the CMECP. There you go. I don't see Tom on here today. He might have rolled in here late. But Tom did great on his proctored exam. He went through it in record time. See if you can break his record. I have to go back and see, but I know it's a record because of the time frame that he was in it. And did great. Only had to do a couple one or two exams redo because of below 80. But that's normal, especially in unit 8, 11, or 13. So that's everybody does. They're tough units. But yeah, we welcome you into the program. Good morning. I am doing good, Angel. Thank you for joining us. Let's see. And DT says there are 3 categories that have 10 questions on them, and PV is one of them. It's hard to believe that they have that many questions on PV, but I'll take your word for it. Just look out John Wiles. Look up John Wiles and look up Bill Brooks. They're going to be the ones that are going to be the best. What's up, Van Man? Mitch, I would like to communicate with you if possible. Currently studying for the Florida Unlimited. I'd like to ask you some questions about the test. So, Van Man, y'all can hook up. Mitch, do what y'all got to do. Let's see. Failure makes us stronger. Absolutely, it does. Y'all heard the old analogy of Michael Jordan? How many shots he missed? We only think about the shots he made. Okay? The old analogy. What's Anselmo? Good morning. Let's see here. What's up, Edgar? Good morning. Let's see here. Good vibes. Everybody's throwing. There you go. There's Tom. He's at the airfield working today. I knew you were in there somewhere. Dylan, Van Man's throwing out some love to you. You got this? Yeah, Marlins, exactly. I think sometimes we let our head overthink a question and we can turn around and get the question wrong because we overthink it. We definitely do. I get that a lot. People send me a lot of questions and they're truly overthinking it, really going beyond trying to think beyond what the normal exam question would be. And that's not what the exam's about. An exam is not to give you twists and turns. You may think so, but it's really not. That's not how we write them. What's up, Tony? Good morning. There you go. Just got back to the Big D, Denver, Colorado, where I'm now a journeyman. Awesome. That's what I'm talking about. Hold on.
Woo, 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 woo. Big dog.
Good job, Tony. Good morning, Franklin. That's a blast from the past. Good morning. Glad to have you here, Franklin. Let's see here. What do we got here? Which code has priority over other? Figuring gutter size calculation of 6 times. And I'm not sure what you mean. So when it comes to the code, you have chapters 1 through 4, general requirements, and you have things that modify and supplement. But if there's some requirement for a specific wiring method, you follow the rules for the wiring method, unless it references something else. Okay, so it's not a matter of precedent, right? Now, for example, if something's required in 250 for grounding and bonding, but something alters that or modifies it or change it in 680, for example, then that takes precedent because that's the way the code rules are written. It modifies, supplements, changes. So you'll have a lot of rules in the code that say do one thing, but you got to remember you can't violate the rules. For example, when we're doing something, let's say in a non-metallic sheet cable, something may say you can do something, okay? But again, you have to follow the general rules for the wiring method. Whatever it says, you follow it, that type of thing. And then most of the times in one code article, it'll make reference to another code article because it means that that portion of whatever its references is important and you have to follow it in its entirety. Okay, unless it points to some specific section, then you follow only that section. But if it points you, for example, to an entire article, then you follow the rules for that article, that type of thing. So I'm not sure how to answer your question, but if they should work. It's just only in your mind that they're not working together. So you might have the deflection requirements in the code, for example, in 312.6, but then you have other things in other parts of the code. Well, if you're working with a gutter, you have to remember that 312.6, for example, is deflection and when it's coming to terminals, whereas you have the gutter requirement, which typically is a deflection or things that you have to do with changing raceways. So they're kind of two different things, that type of thing, but one doesn't negate the other, that type of thing. Tony says it only took you 9 tries. That's okay. Doesn't matter because only you know that. Now, obviously everybody knows that now, Tony, but you don't, you really need to know that. Let's see here. Let's see where we at here. Okay. Good morning, Erie. Thanks for having you here. Okay, so let's look at some code questions this morning. And, let's go look real quick at the thing that somebody had posted they wanted. So let me see if I can get us here. All right, so this is 230.75. Says disconnection of grounded conductor. Okay. So it says where the service disconnect mean does not disconnect the grounded conductor from the premise wiring system. Okay. So most of the service disconnects that come in probably will not. Okay. Says other means shall be provided for this purpose in the service equipment. Okay, so it notes now we have to look at the context of what this is in. So let's go back. All right, so this is in. Okay, so we're talking service equipment disconnecting means. All right, let's get back down here. All right, so 230.75 disconnecting means from grounded. It says where the service disconnect mean does not disconnect the grounded conductor from the premise wiring, other means shall be provided for this purpose in the service equipment. Now, first of all, one of the things to remember, I can't intent, but this is going to be something that's going to be integral into the service equipment. Okay, so this is something that is really going to be out of our control here in this part of it. Okay, then it says a terminal or bus to which the grounded conductor can be attached by means of pressure connectors shall be permitted for this purpose. Okay, so one of the things that we lose sight of this one is that even a bus that has terminals on it, right, in the disconnecting means that allows us, and I don't know if y'all can hear me. Let me go back to chat here. So even in this equipment, when it's manufactured service equipment and the grounded neutral conductor comes in and goes to a bus, and the bus with lugging allows for it to be disconnected. And this is already inherent in all equipment, okay? And it's provided that way. So it's not being run through, okay? So where it does not disconnect it or it's running through the service equipment, a means has to be provided. And typically this would be a simple bus bar or a lugging system would be equivalent to be able to disconnect it. Now I think the confusion here is we're not necessarily talking about putting the grounded conductor on a switch. It's the ability to disconnect it. Okay. Oh, that reminds me. By the way, people ask, I remember when y'all were talking about books. When you were talking about books, I don't collect books, right? I don't collect code books. But what I do keep in at least 3 cycles, I should have mentioned this earlier, I'm sorry. And I've shown this before. I enjoy the McGraw-Hill's NEC handbook. It's not the same as a regular handbook, okay? It is written by, and I don't always agree with Frederick or Fred, but I do agree vast majority of the time with Fred. And this was actually, I got to thinking about it when y'all were talking about books, and I had it here. So I wanted to show you really quickly. We'll get back to this. Okay, so they're really not the greatest images in the world. Okay, and it is, I can't remember, it is $100. But if people are asking me as far as what you keep in your, not for exam prep, you just got to use the NEC. But what would you keep as a resource? And I'm into resources. And NEC I can get to electronically. These are the only books, and I always keep at least the latest 3 cycles. Okay? It's not only to support Fred, because I don't really care about McGraw-Hill, but it's to support Fred. Okay? And I'm a believer at what Fred does. But this is interesting, is in 230.75, I just kind of thought about this. It's not very big. It's just one little sentence, right? And here's what he says, okay? It says, in this section, the other means for disconnecting the grounded conductor from the interior wiring may be a screw, kind of what I said, or a bolted lug on the neutral terminal block. It is usually identified as a neutral disconnecting link. Now, in big equipment, you may have a bar, and it may say right on it, a neutral link or something like that, and that will be what breaks it. So in this case, it has the ability to disconnect it. We're not talking about a lever switch, okay? That's what I wanted to point out, okay? It says, because that's typically not what's going to happen. Once it's connected in, it's fixed, okay? The grounded conductor doesn't get switched. It's fixed, right? But the ability to disconnect it means that you are terminating it at something in that equipment, and all the manufacturers will do that for you. They're already going to put the terminal lug in there, or where you're going to take it to it. So it's already done. So it's in here, but it's already done, right? So anyway, it goes on. It says, it is usually, it says the grounded conductor must not be run straight through the service equipment enclosure with no means to be able to disconnect it. Now, so by the way, this is what it's called. It's called McGraw-Hill's National Electrical Code 2023 Handbook by Fred Hartwell. It's available in the 2017, 2020, 2023. Like I told you, I usually keep 3 cycles. Once I get beyond that, the 17 will probably go away. I'll sell it or give it away or whatever. So these are resource documents. Now, I don't always agree with Fred on everything, but as a research person, the code is easy because it's black and white. I'm coming up with the interpretation. But when sometimes I'll go and see and say, well, what does Fred think? Okay, or is Fred aligned with me? And if I disagree, I disagree. But I use these as helpful research because it's nice. I trust Fred in his logic in his mind. Now, he's an electrician's electrician, okay? Not a code panel's electrician, right? He's an electrician's electrician expert. So I trust in Fred in a lot of his stuff, and I do read it. And again, I don't always agree. As you saw, my explanation aligned with Fred's, and I hadn't even read Fred's on 230.75. But we align in the same concept. So this is already taken care of by the manufacturers. So, but the ability to disconnect it, because if you were to disconnect the ungrounded conductors, but you can't disconnect the grounded conductors, it would make it very hard for you to do any servicing on it, replacements, repairs, because you can undo the ungrounded hots, but you wouldn't be able to do that. Now, I don't know how that would happen. I don't know how that would even go through service equipment unbroken anyway, because you got to get it to lugs because we need to establish branch circuits and feeders. So I don't know, but code says what it says. Anyway, so there you go. Available on Amazon. I don't always trust Amazon, but these you're not going to get You're not going to get counterfeits for these. Okay, it's not worth it for them to do that. So that's my book recommendation for today. As I love Fred's stuff. And that type of thing. What's up, Poppy? Glad to see you here. Alberto, glad to see you here. Val, glad to see you here. All right, David, let's go back over real quick and finish this one up for you. Okay, now it says, in a multi-sectional switchboard or switchgear, I'm not sure why it says that. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, I jumped down too far. So, for example, it says, in a multi-section switchboard and switchgear, disconnects for the grounded conductor shall be permitted to be in any section of the switchboard or switchgear if the switchboard switchgear section is marked to indicate a grounded conductor disconnect is located within it. So it's just telling you that when it comes to the switchboard or switchgear, because it's bigger and it's made up of sections, it's saying, well, look, we're just going to let you know up front where that technically you can disconnect the grounded conductor is. Is it in that section? Is it in that section? It's probably going to obviously be in the section where the service conductors come in. But sometimes you can't tell because you're looking at it and they may come from underneath. This is telling you where it is you have to go. Now, why would they put that in there? It makes sense because we don't want to just go in it and, not sure where this disconnect would be. So we have it. We need to tell you where you have the ability to separate that or pull it apart, that type of thing. Makes sense? Also, because how the bus may lay out in the bottom of equipment, you may be in the first vertical section, and that's where maybe the service conductors come in, but it may not be immediately apparent where the grounded conductor is that you could disconnect it from the system. So they're going to tell you where that is. I can't give you the rationale. It just makes sense. The only other thing I can tell you, there is an informational note, and I'm a big believer in informational notes. And it says in switchgear or multi-switchboards, it says the disconnecting means provided for the grounded conductor is typically identified as a neutral disconnect link and is typically located in the bus in which the service grounded conductor is connected. Okay, so it's usually in the same area where that grounded conductor would be making that connection inside of the assembly. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense and answers your question, David. So don't want to be like me, dude. I got all kinds of problems. I got a son that hates me, wishes I'm dead. I got diabetes. I'm balding. I'll never have hair again. You don't want to be like me, man. All right. Okay. Let's look at some code questions. Unless y'all got some additional questions, feel free to add. Adam says the best $85 that will help you. What was $85, bro? Let me know. That book's not $85. That book is more expensive than $85. Where'd you get it for 85 freaking bucks? Maybe you're talking about a different one. All right, let's go and look at the code today. Let's look at some exam prep questions, folks. Let's go. Okay. All right. So we're going to look at these in Amazon. 85? Really? You got that? Sweet. Shoot, I bet you I paid more than that for it when I got mine off Amazon. I'm just saying. I got no discounts. Fred didn't send me no book. All right, it says where one or more lighting outlets are installed for interior stairways. That should send you a trigger right there. Okay. It says there shall be a wall switch on each floor level and landing level that includes an entryway. Okay, so if I have 3 stories, right, and I got stairs down to a landing, and of course I can exit that landing on that level, okay, then I have to have a switch there. And if I go down from that landing down to the lower, then I'm at the lower level, I have a switch there. If I have lighting outlets that are in the stairway, I have to be able to switch them, okay? But it goes on to say, to control the lighting outlets where the stairwell between floor levels, okay, between each floor level, has blank risers or more, 4, 5, 6, or 8, okay? So if you're thinking of this and you're thinking, well, I'll go look at the index, you probably can look under lighting outlets, okay? But what we're going to do is we're going to try to say and use some logic here and say, okay, so we're talking about lighting outlets, all right? Most of you remember that there's a requirement in the code, or I would say requirement. There is a specific section in, again, this is talking about going out to a lighting outlet. So we know we're talking about branch circuits going out to lighting outlet. So that does narrow it down, right, to 10. All right, and let's see real quick, guys. I don't know that I have this geared up here. Let me see if I do. Hold on here. Let me get this geared up. I work on the fly. All right. So we could go over to the index and we could look under stairs. I don't want to do this a lot because it takes a lot of time away. I will tell you how you learn this. Lighting outlets. Anything to do with lighting outlets, you want to remember that it's a branch circuit going to these lighting outlets. So that's going to get you at least in the Article 210. Then once you're in 210, y'all remember that receptacles, here's a way to remember this. receptacles are in dot 52. And then you remember, oh, wait a minute, at the end of that, there's a dot 70. And dot 70 is dealing with lighting outlets. And that's talking about outdoor lighting outlets, outside of entryways. That's talking about lighting outlets for like the bathrooms, kitchens, and all this kind of stuff. And it talks about all of that. So the dot 70 of 210 is your lighting outlets, okay? But anyway, we can go look at your index because say you're struggling, you're in an exam, Dylan's getting ready to take his exam, and he's like, okay, let me go look over here. He goes, all right. He goes, let's see here. I'm going to go here and I'm going to look at the index. And he's thinking, okay, let's look under lighting outlets. So we're dissecting it. So we'll go under lighting outlets. And let's see here. I'm under L. All right, so lighting. So we got lighting. Let's see if there's anything under lighting outlets. Here we go, lighting outlets right here. Now, first thing that I'm going to tell you to save you a little time when you're doing things in the index, for example, is that the first one, 210.70, we know it's a branch circuit and we're supplying lighting outlets. So 210.70. But while you're here, you're going to write these other things down. Now, you know that 410 is specific for luminaires. So if the question's not specifically about the luminaire, right, then you're going to be going, wait, this is about lighting outlets. And 210 is a branch circuit, and you're going to know that 210.70 is the section within 210 that's dealing with lighting outlets and placement and where they happen to be. Now, you're going to write down that. Now, y'all know my little trick. I don't know. It's not really a trick, but y'all know that I like to write down 210 and then underneath it .70, and then I would probably write all of these down because I don't want to come back here. Right? I'd probably just scribble them down on scratch paper really quickly so that I have them. You always have scratch paper on an exam. If you don't have scratch paper on an exam, you need to complain because every test center's got to give you something to be able to scribble notes on, do a calculation on, or something like that. If they didn't give you one, you need to stop and go complain right now. Dylan, if they don't give you scratch paper, stop and complain. And before you sit down and start that test, go, where's my scratch paper? Okay, where is my stuff to write things down? Okay, so the next thing I would look under here is dissecting that question. I would look under and say, okay, what's the next thing I'd look under? Maybe look under stairways. All right. I also, since it's talking about, let's see here, switching, I could look under switching. So this is what you do, folks, by the way, for those that are stumbling into us late and say, Paul, I don't have all that time to do all that stuff you're doing. Yes, you do. You're studying. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. If they're telling you folks, let me tell you right now, if you got an educator out there who's telling you that when you get an exam set of questions that you have to answer them in the same amount of time as the exam starting out, they're full of shit. You need to run to somebody else. I will look them right in the face. In fact, I'm going to be in an NFPA meeting next in about 2 weeks. You know, if any educator out there wants to come up to my face and say that, no, the student needs to be able to answer that question while they're studying within 2 minutes, I'm going to look you right in the face in front of everybody. I don't care who you are. I'm going to tell you you're full of shit because you're full of shit. A student who's learning the code needs to take the time and dissect a code question. That's why we give you a bunch of them so that you can use the practice ones to hone your dissection skills, right? Dissection skills. Then that's why we give you the 3 final exams at the end so that you can time yourself. Then and only then do you put a 2-minute timer on your clock. Up until then, you do not do that. If they tell you that, they are wrong. And usually it's somebody trying to sell you a question database and they're trying to sell it to you so you go through the questions. I want you to take your time and dissect them because that's where you're going to get the most out of it, especially if you feel a little questionable in your lookup skills. You definitely want to dissect them. Okay, so that's what I tell people to do. And people say, well, Paul, your method, I get these posts on YouTube all the time. You take too long in a question. They can only got 2 minutes to ask their question, but you dissect it for 10 minutes. Yeah, you dumbass. I'm doing it because people learn how to maneuver through the NEC. Oh, by the way, if you don't like that or you don't like my opinion of that, there's other channels for you to follow. Bye-bye. You can leave. I'm not here to appease you. Okay? You can agree or to disagree. All right. So I'm telling you my method. You don't like it? I have success to prove mine. Okay. All right. So that's one thing. So here's also, we can go see under, let's see here. We can look under lighting, but here it says go see under lighting outlets, that type of thing. All right. So, but we're looking for others. So right now I'm going to look under switches. Let's see. I'm going to go look under switches real quick to see what's under switches. And okay, we're under S. Go down to the end of switches. All right, so STU. All right, there's swimming, so let's make sure I don't miss it. Let's see here, a lot under swimming, folks. Switches, right here. So 404, just to look and see what we got. So we're gonna look under switches, and we're looking down and seeing what we can see. If there's anything under here. Let's see here. General, okay. There's outside, there's service, knife, manual. And we're looking for stairs or anything having to do with stairs. Let's see here. If anything that might help us in here, let's look and see. It might be, and I might have missed it. But I don't see anything in there that would be beneficial to me. Anything about indoors or stairwells or hallways or anything like that. Okay, I don't see anything in there like that. All right, so again, in a quick look, I don't see anything. All right, so the next thing I might say, well, let's look under, what about, all right, well, lighting outlet is in it. So we looked under, I think we already looked under lighting outlet, right? Yeah, we looked under lighting outlet. So let's see here. So I'm sure we did. Yeah, we did. Lighting outlet. Right? So there's lighting. And again, we looked under, there you go, lighting out. So we got 210.6. So I wrote all these down. Okay. And also include the fact that you just know that you're in a branch circuit application. So you say, okay, it makes sense. Dot 70. Okay, we're going to go to dot 70. And oh, real quick, here's your structure. Okay, so you see what we're saying is the receptacle required outlets. Remember that. Part 3, 210. Outlets, not receptacle outlets alone. Outlets, lighting outlets, receptacle outlets, all of that's the holy grail when it comes to that type of thing, and location. So there's our 210.52 for dwelling unit receptacle locations and placements. And there's your meeting room one right here, 65, 70. Lighting outlets required. Clicking on it right here. All right, so remember, we're looking for stairs. So that's the trigger in the question. And since it does come, here's one thing to remember, is it does come with answers. 4, 5, 6, 8. Again, on an exam, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for those triggers within the question. So when we go back here, we'll go back to the NEC. And what we're looking for is for the stairs. Okay, so that's the dwelling. So they're additional, right? And we're looking down and we're moving through this one. Okay, and we're looking to say, okay, well, and I get down here and I see stairway. Okay, and then I immediately see 6 or more risers between floor levels. Okay, that's immediately. Now I look around just while I'm there. I see nothing else is germane. I said install interior stairway with 6 or more risers between floors. Boom, boom, boom. That's it. As said by somebody famous one time, bing, bang, boom. Okay, there it is. Now, let me adjust this down real quick. Sorry. Didn't realize that was there. All right, so here, obviously 6. Okay, and you're not going to see the answer because it was right. This is the one where it shows you the answers at the end. Okay, but that is the answer there. And I should have showed you the code reference, but I didn't. I don't think I can go back, by the way. No, I don't think so. There we go. Yeah, there we go. So I can show you the code reference here. See that 210.70A23, right? And obviously, if we went that to that in the code, right there, A23 is right here. And there's where you get the 6 or more. Now, you may have already known this. So this takes me to another great point about preparing for an exam. If you're sitting in on the exam and you're doing my three-wave method. So you're going through the exam right away, answering. Dylan, this is for you. Answer everything you know right away without even having to think about it. You just know the answer. In all tests that are electronic, there's a way to mark a question. So just answer the question. If you can't answer it within a minute, then just click the mark so that you can come back later, right? And keep going through and go through that first wave, answering everything you know right away, okay? Now, the ones that you marked, you're going to come back on the second wave and you're going to be focusing on the ones that you marked. So in the computer system, it should allow you to go look at the ones that you marked. And that's what you're going to do. You've already answered the other ones. Now, if there's any of them that you were on the fence during that first wave and you just answered it, but you're like, I'm just answering it because I think it's right, and you're not sure, mark it. But if you know definitively the answer, like you knew this was 6 risers, right? Then you're like, I know it. Boom. And you just answer it. The second wave is for the ones that you marked. When you answer one, unmark it. So it won't be in the third wave. You get what I'm saying? In the third wave, you're going to answer that question, all right? And you're going to make sure that before you go to the next question, you're going to at least answer it, whether you use a deductive reasoning, logic, or whatever. If you still are not sure, but you've narrowed it down, you still leave it marked. But you don't leave that question unless you have answered it, okay? That way you don't accidentally leave any that are unanswered, okay? And then if you've got extra time, you're going to go back to the ones that still are marked. That's the process. It's not brain surgery, but it helps control you in the nerves when you're taking a test. Go through. There's going to be certain ones like this one, which you might have known it was 6 steps between floors. Boom. Just answer it. Move on. If you're a minute and you're still like, I don't know. I don't know. Mark it. You'll get it on the second wave. Relax. But don't let it overwhelm you, and do not get bogged down on a single question thinking that one question is going to make or break you have more to lose by bogging down on one question than you do to just mark it and go on. You'll get it later because the third wave, you got to answer it anyway. So what you're really losing is time. And as we say, time is something you'll never get back, whether it's on an exam or in life. Once that time is gone, it's gone, okay? So again, follow that process and it'll calm the nerves, that type of thing. What is that, Tom? What is that? Tom says, what do you got, a building official? What is this? Hold on. You got call the building department and argue if the last step for the floor level is a riser. So he's arguing with the number of steps. I only count a step if I have to step up to it. I don't count the floor, okay? If I have to step up to it, okay, so the argument is if I step up 3 steps, 4 steps, or 5 steps, if I have to step from that last step up to the landing, is that considered a step, okay? Argument. I think for electricians, I get that far into it, then I'm not going to argue that. I'm just going to say, screw it. If I have to step up from one to another, then I consider it a step. So from the floor level, if I'm stepping up, that's a step. Step, step, step. If I'm on the last step and I have to step up to the landing, then I consider that a step. That's just be my rule, okay? The building officials may feel differently, but I'm going to err on the side of caution. If I got to step up to it, then I'm going to consider it a step. Or if I have to step down to it, I'm going to consider it a step. So either way, it takes care of itself. If I'm stepping from the top landing going down, then that's the first step is the one I step down, boom, boom, boom. And then from the last, if I have to step down to the landing or the bottom, then that's a step. That's how I would do it. Everybody's different. And you argue it how you want, but man, if I'm at that close, if I'm at that borderline, dude, I'm just putting what does it cost for me, electrician? I'm putting a damn switch in there. I'm just saying. All right, so let's go to the lesson here. All right, good question. All right, so we know that is 6 right here. Okay, and we know by the code reference right here. Okay, so there we go. All right, next, to determine the minimum lighting load for a specified occupancy, okay, specified occupancy, it says the floor area for each floor shall be calculated from the blank dimensions of the building. Paul makes me think Paul already has this in his database loaded up, and he's already gone and looked up. this. Makes me think, Paul, that you've already loaded the database because I just shared that picture. I'm just saying. I'm saying, Paul. I'm not saying you're cheating. I'm not saying it.
Woo, 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 woo. Big dog.
I'm not saying that. I'm just. Okay. So the minimum lighting load for specified occupancies, the floor area for each floor shall be calculated from the blank dimensions of the building, dwelling, unit, or other area involved. Now, you're in the Fast Tracks program. Paul has been in the program or working through different portions of the program. This is an example of a question where you liable to get this on an exam, and you should know the question. You should know the answer to this. Answer it, move on. Obviously, you're going to use the outside dimensions of everything, okay? And so, at the end of the day, hold on for a second. What is going on? Okay, I don't know what. Okay, anyway, somebody was texting me in. I don't know what that was. So we have to go. So where do we go in the code for this? Well, since this is talking about something that's in a calculation, and we know that it's integral, okay? That's true. There you go. Adam to save the day. He goes, he's not cheating. He's in the program, bro. That's why he knows. You are right, Adam. Wisdom. That's wisdom right there. Okay? Adam. Wisdom. All right. So, Paul and Adam. That or they're texting each other saying, hey, bro, come to my support, bro. All right, so this is one that you should know, but if not, it is clearly a calculation thing. And this is also part of the principles, okay? And I just scratch and sniff myself. So this is part of the principles. So if we go look at the NEC, for example, we think this is in 220. This is a calculation principle. So we go to the very front. It's talking about this. Here's 220. And this is part of the principles of calculations, right? And in this case, you see it says floor area. One thing to remember that this says new right here, right? So it's been moved here, okay? Previously, it's been in 220.14. It's moved around. It's been in all over the place. But now it resides at 220.5 C. And here's what it says. The floor area of each floor shall be calculated from the outside dimensions of the building. That goes for dwelling unit as well. That goes for single family dwellings. Again, it's the outside dimensions, okay? I can see an exam question where they give you, this is live? What do you mean is this actually live? Hell yeah, it's live every morning, 8 a.m. Live. Let's go. So, all right. So makes sense, but I can see an exam question where it may be a situation where they give you two dimensions, an outside and an inside dimension. And it seems like a simple question, but what they're trying to do is determine whether or not okay? And so there you go. So that's just something to think about. Again, this is like, I need to know this dimension. If you've been through our program, then you know that when we're doing Unit 8, Unit 11, Unit 13, we have to know, and we're doing the competency reviews, we have to know dimensions in order to be able to come up with a load calculation. Well, since this is the very genesis of starting the load calculation, whether we're doing the lighting or we're doing the overall for 3 VA per square foot for a dwelling and all this we got to know the dimensions. So they either give it to you or they're going to give you the dimension of the building and you just use the dimensions of the building because that is your outside dimension, right? You don't account for the wall. You don't count for the thickness. You don't count, somebody will say to me, well, is it a 2x4 wall? Is it a 2x4 wall with 1/2-inch gypsum board? And I'm like, doesn't matter. It's outside dimension. Doesn't matter, okay? On an exam, they got to give you that anyway, by the way. All right, so again, if we were to click there, we see that the reference is 220.5C, and we looked that up. And we remembered this question's talking about a calc, and it's early information about the calc. So you know it's going to be in the front of 220. because it's early. By the way, calculations are changing in the 2026 code. It's going to be in 120, right? Versus 220. Okay, just so y'all know. Y'all know it's coming. So here's what it is. All right, let's go to another question. So we know it's the outside right here. Here's my encrypted answer. All right, so there's your encrypted answer. All right, so the minimum size of a copper conductor for overhead spans up to 50 feet in length is what? Okay. Anybody know the answer to that? Okay. So first of the thing I'm going to tell you, this is a span. So what should that tell you in this question, guys? We'll dissect this one out. First of all, it says overhead span. Okay. So we know that if that's the case, then it could be branch circuit, it could be feeder. I don't know, but I know one thing, it is outdoor. It's an overhead span. Unless they state indoor, which would make it specific, typically overhead spans typically are outdoor applications. Regardless of that, we know that this is either a branch or feeder, and we know that it is outdoors. So where do we go for installations? What article do we go to? We're talking about branch or feeder, and we're dealing with outdoor applications. Not 210, which is just general branch, not 215, which is general feeder, but this is an outdoor application where we're trying to get minimum sizing, okay? All right, so in that case, we do know, to Tom say, I don't know. You always should have the code book with you, bro. What is wrong with you? Because you can have Link on your phone 24/7. You got to have Link. What do you mean you don't have your code book? You better have it. Now, 220 is a calculation, Frank, so we're not going to be in a calculation. All right, Poppy's got the idea. 225, right? So if we go look at the code book, and we're just kind of going to go look real quick. So here, 225 is talking about outside branch circuits and feeders, okay, in 225, all right? But there's other ways we could have gotten there, right? So let's see here. If we go to the index, and just to show craps and giggles of the index, let's see, it's not loading. There we go. It's now it's loading. Let's make sure I don't lose what I'm doing. Okay, there we go. So one of the things we could look under is overhead span. Is there anything in the index about overhead span? Okay, and then of course we can look at other things. But let's go here and just look and see if there's anything, since we're already down at IMS. You say you're on the exam, and you're like, dude, I don't even know where to start. I recommend that you bold scan 225. You can find your answer quicker using the term overhead span in the conductor sizing. But let's go down here and look at overhead. I went too far. Okay, I went too far. All right. Okay, so here is overhead spans. Look at that. Can y'all see that? Overhead spans. It's sending me to 225.6a. Simply by understand. This is what I tell you, folks. Get used to dissecting a question. Okay? Get used to. When I looked at this question, the only thing that stuck out to me on this was like overhead span. Right? And again, it's minimum size copper conductor. Okay? And it says overhead span. It didn't tell me. I'm thinking of general wiring. I'm not thinking of anything over 1,000. I'm thinking, look, I just want to know what the minimum size is. Okay? All right? So it's sending me to 225.6a. So I'm going to go there. And let's go here. So I'm going to go to 225.6a. Let's do this version here. A little easier for us. Let's go to this. And I'm going to 6. Okay? All right. So here's the overhead span. All right. Right here. Here's the overhead span. It says open individual conductors shall not be smaller than 10 copper or 8 AWG aluminum for spans up to 50 feet in length, and 8 copper or 6 aluminum for spans for longer spans unless supported by a messenger. Ain't nothing been said on here about no freaking messenger. Okay, didn't say a word about a freaking messenger to me. So, and it does say copper though. Okay, so I'm going to say 10. Okay, because one, I am not longer than that. Okay. So it's telling me, and the question is for minimum size. So it says, shall not be smaller than a 10 copper, and the question's about copper, by the way. Say, or 6 AW aluminum for spans up to 50 feet in length. It says, and 8 copper for longer spans unless supported by a messenger. Then it could be obviously smaller than an 8 if it's supported by a messenger, that type of thing. And again, just to show you an illustration, because I do have one. So here is up to 50 feet, 10. More than 50 feet, 8. If I put a messenger in there, which is a self-supporting mechanism that's actually from point A to point B, which is a supporting component, it supports the weight in the messenger and the cables and it all will mount to that or supported by that, then I don't have to be an 8 because it's being supported. I'm not relying on the strength of the 8, that type of thing. So anyway, and in longer spans, what'll happen is you'll get such a problem with sag that they'll end up specifying a messenger anyway. But this is just your general, again, code exam, code question. Again, more than 50, 8. It's up to 50. 10 is the minimum size, that type of thing. Granted, at the end of the day, you can only do so many loads with a 10 anyway, so it's probably going to dictate you being larger. But maybe this is just going over here to put a floodlight over here or something like. Who knows what that would be? Okay. And again, you've got festoon lighting, which is different. That is specifically for festoon lighting. This overhead span requirement is not specific to any type of festoon lighting. That's just simply an overhead span. Okay. All right. Makes sense? All right. Let's get back to the lesson question. So again, the reference it's going to give is 225.6a. So we know the answer is going to be 10. Okay. All right. Next one, it says the minimum size of overhead service conductor. So it could be. If you're going overhead from building to building and you're doing an overhead, yeah, could be. Obviously, those are minimum sizes. So if you're doing like a remote distribution panel overhead, then those conductors are going to be much larger than that anyway. So not going to be an issue. Okay, you're not going to be running no panel with a 10. Okay. All right. So let's see here. So it says the minimum size of overhead service conductor supplying only limited loads of a single branch circuit shall not be smaller than blank AWG. So again, a minimum size. This is talking about overhead service conductors supply, and this is saying, look, maybe you're only supplying certain loads, minimum loads. We're not doing whole buildings here, okay? We're doing, maybe it's a minimum load application, all right? And the loads are only single branch circuits, okay? So this is basically under these parameters. What is the minimum size overhead service conductors, okay? It's a big difference, okay, in these type of things. All right, so in this scenario, you're thinking, okay, what is the, hold on for a second. Let me block this thing. Somebody's sending me a message. And I keep it up because I am working, by the way. So I keep this thing running. So I don't know why this is, hold on here. Oops. Okay, I don't know why. Let me turn that off. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, sorry about that. It's turned off. It keeps blinking on me and it draws my attention. I have 6 feet of screen here, and over here I've got my working screen that I'm still monitoring it, and then I've got all the stuff I'm doing here. Y'all don't need to know that, but that's what I got going on over here. All right, so again, it's service. So one thing we know where it's going to be in 230, right? All right, so in this type of thing, so now we're also talking overhead service conductors. So let's go to, if you didn't know, we'll go to the index, okay? Shambone, and we went here. And it's not loading. So let's go right here. And there we go. It's loading some funky. So the reason I want to do that is because we're already at overhead. We're already at O. So I wanted to see if we have anything at O, since we're already here. So, okay, right here, We have overhead, I don't know if you can see it right here, overhead service conductors. Okay, it's found in, so this is in part 2 of 230. Okay, so that good. Now, what we're trying to determine here is sizing, minimum sizing. Well, it says right here. Now, one little tip for folks when you're doing the index, you see where this one is, that these are a little less indented. That means that these are germane to this topic. So here, these are germane to this bold. Okay, those type of things. So that's kind of a way to look at it. So obviously, we're still talking about overhead service conductors. You could go to part 2 in bold scan, but down here we just happen to have minimum sizing in 230.23. Well, I'm gonna feel pretty good that that's where we need to be. So I'm gonna go to the NEC and make sure I don't kill the screen. There we go. All right, and I'm gonna go to that. So we knew it was service, okay? And we're going to 230.23. On an exam, we're really not taking that much time. It's a little slower for me because I'm explaining it, right? And so here's the size in amps, and here's your minimum size. So it says, the conductors shall not be smaller than 8 copper or 6 aluminum or this other product we don't want to look at. Now, this is the exception. Look at this exception. Because immediately you might be on an exam and you might go, boom, I'm going to answer. And let's see, I don't know what the comments, let's see, what do the people in the chat say? Okay, so Paul says 8 and B, went right to that. Manny says 8B. Okay, everybody says 8B. Okay, all right. Well, let's go back to the NEC and let's see. Everybody says A. Jonathan says A. Let's go back to let's see what it says here. Let's go right here. Okay. All right. Remember, it made a specific, it said only limited loads of single branch circuits. So it made a point. Hold on. Back to the lesson. It made a point to say this. Details are in the question. All right. Just so we know. So let's go to the NEC and says, okay. So what does this exception say? It says exception. It says conductor supplying only limited loads of a single branch circuit, such as a small polyphase, power control water heater. These are just similar things. It's not an all-inclusive list. These are just some things, okay? Then it says, shall not be smaller than a 12 hard-drawn copper or equivalent, okay? All right, so the answer to this question, it looks like the answer is going to be 12. So that's the example of not answering too quickly. So all of you can use excuses. I answered too quickly, but you're all full of crap because you posted an answer. You had to go read it, right? Not tricky. It's right there, right there. So again, now one thing to be aware of, so it looks like the answer to this one, if we click this here, we can see that it's telling us the answer is in 230.23b. Exception, and the answer is going to be 12. Brings up a really good point. On an exam, most exams are going to tell you to ignore exceptions, but please make sure you read it. So when you sit down for your exam, what they're going to have is instructions. Now, a lot of people will really just blow through these instructions. I encourage you, no. This is part of getting you settled into an exam. So I tell students all the time when we replicate it, blame it on the fingers. So what you do is you go in, ain't nobody fatter than me, and I got little fat nubs here, and I don't, hey, doesn't happen to me, bro. So I'm just saying. So when you sit down for your exam and they'll ask you dumb questions like, you know how to work the controls, they'll ask you stuff like, what color is the sky? All this kind of other stuff. Really do answer these. Take the time to be familiar. And this is the time when you go like this. You go, because that time doesn't count against you. This is a time, I tell people all the time, really, I'm not joking here. Acclimation to your environment starts at some point where the nerves have to get rid of the nerves. Nobody likes a test. Nobody likes exams. No, I hate exams. So that's your time that it's not counted against you to go, okay, I got this. Okay, where's my timer? There's my timer. Okay, I see where my timer is going to be. Gotcha. Where are the controls? Okay. Where do I mark something to check later? The mark feature. There it is. Okay. This is your time to get acclimated and relax. And then when you get ready and all this is done, and it'll ask you, are you ready to start? That's when you look at yourself, you look up and you go, I got this. Piece of cake. Let's go. But again, so many people get in so quickly, start clicking, and they don't get this transition, right? We have a transition where you guys are preparing, you're studying, you got this. You're the code warriors out there. You're like, dude, you have the nerve to me. Let's go. And so I always had that mentality when I went into a test. I love that part of it. But do I like tests? Hell no. Nobody likes to be tested on anything. But there's a rare few of you out there that thrive on it. I know Tom is the kind of guy that probably thrives on that type of thing. And I was always, when I got there and when I was ready, when I did this, over the top move, then I would go boom and be ready to hit it. You know what I'm saying? And then it was like, dude, get out of my way. Get out the way. Whoop, get out the way. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So anyway, so that was my mentality. So you're nervous to get in it, but once you get in it, you're like, don't talk to me. I'm in the zone. Nail that shit. Dylan, you're going to nail it. Nail it. I'm just saying. All right. So obviously this answer to this question, dude, I don't know what the hell is wrong with me today. So obviously the answer to this question is number 12. Okay. All right. Let's do one more. We'll call it a day. What's up, my code dudes? Paul, 2025. There you go. Sorry, look. Branch circuits recognized by Article 210, okay, shall be rated in accordance with the maximum permitted ampere rating or setting of the overcurrent device except those rated for blank amps. What does that frickin' mean? You're thinking, what the hell does that mean? Okay, so basically this is saying, look, all of those branch circuits that are in 210, okay, have a specific rating, right? And the maximum permitted amp rating or setting of the overcurrent device is going to be what? Specific, okay? Except for those rated on a specific amp value. So you're thinking, okay, so this is talking about ratings of the branch circuit, and this is talking about the maximum permitted amp ratings or settings of overcurrent devices. The general. And then you're thinking, but there's an exception, except for those that are rated. Okay, so then you're looking at going, wait a minute. For me, I'm looking at it going, wait a minute. I know 15. I know 20. I know 30. The one that looks odd to me is the 25. You're thinking, okay, but it's a branch circuit. And when I read this is upfront information. This is stuff that's near the front of 210, not about the prescriptive stuff and all the stuff that we're going through. It's like, wait a minute. This is up near the front. This is where I'm talking about things like 210.19, where I'm sizing conductors, 210.20. But this is even earlier than that in my mind. This is like pre-information about the overcurrent devices that I'm going to be selecting for my conductors, okay? That's my mentality that I'm thinking of this. Now, if I was dissecting this thing, did I miss something, Matthew? I'm sorry, what do we got here? Hold on. Matthew, Big Dogs just passed a Colorado Journeyman. There you go, what I'm talking about.
Woo, 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 woo. Big dog.
All you, Matthew. It's all you, brother. I'm just here for the guidance, right? I'm just here to direct you into your greatness. It's the way I like to think about it. Again, every student of mine who's been successful through my career are like family. If you've used me in any way, I do live vicariously through your success. I don't care what I achieve in life anymore. My mission is to help you all learn as much as you can. I'm going to die, okay? Probably sooner than later. At the end of the day, it's about what we carry on. And I am the most proudest of, I had somebody all the other day, I think they bother me when they make a post on YouTube or something and say, nobody knows you, Paul. Everybody knows Cy Porter, who has 500,000 followers. I'm like, the people that know you are the people that buy the shitty D.R. Horton homes or the other homes that he calls out stuff that should be so damn blatantly obvious that you don't even have to be a home inspector to know. I don't care if Sally Sue knows who the hell somebody is, okay? I don't care. What I care is that electricians know who I am and they learn from me. And if you're new and you don't know who I am, where you been? Jump on the boat. I'm here to teach you something. We want to learn together. I love learning new stuff, okay? I still today get the juices flowing to get up, talk code, shoot code with you folks. And, I ain't one of those fakers. I'm a maker. Let's go. I make dreams come true. We learn the code. I help you be successful. Shit, I'm on a roll today. I got all these little sayings that I'm throwing out there. What the hell is in my coffee? Holy crap. All right. Whatever. All right, so let's go to the code. Let's go real quick to the code. Oh, man, y'all are getting a pretty rare Paul today. It doesn't happen that often, but, dude, I must be on I'm jacked on something, okay? All right. Okay. So if I'm looking at the code, one of the things that I'm going to look at here is probably going to start by looking at something. What up, Tino H? Glad to have you here. Oh, there you go, Sparky. Loves watching the videos. You learn something new every time you watch it. And sometimes I do say things that will reduce the brain cells, but only momentarily. Then you'll come back. Let's see here. All right, so let's kind of say, what if I went under branch circuit real quick? Since we're going to look at this one, let's dissect it out because I already know where I'm going. Y'all heard me. I'm going back and I'm going to be bold scanning at 210 because this is upfront information. This is like giving me general guidance information. Just look at how the question was written. But for craps and giggles, we're going to go back and look under branch circuit and I'm going to see if it's talking about anything to do anything remotely. So let's go back in my code book. I'm going to be very broad on this one. And I'm going to look at branch circuits. And what you're going to learn into this, folks, is you're going to learn what is and what is not in branch circuits. Okay, that's the whole thing we're doing here. All right, so let's get here. So, okay, so I'm back here. I just want to make sure I'm back to the beginning. Okay, all right, so I'm going down. And I'm going to look here and I'm going to see what do we got. Okay, here's branch circuits. Okay, so here's branch circuits. So really quickly, if I didn't know what it's talking about, I'm saying, okay, it's asking me something about overcurrent devices. It's asking me something about ratings, settings, and all this kind of stuff, maximum, all this kind of stuff. So I'm going to look down and just by chance, see if I see anything that may be relevant. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to notice how these are offset. So they're all about branch circuit. So I'm going to just quickly, and then when you see these that are offset of this, then they're specific, very much germane to this only. Okay, so that's kind of the structure if you're wanting to know how that actually works. Okay, so I'm going to look down, and I'm going to look down real quickly, and and I'll say, okay, so here's conductor's minimum ampacity. Not really what it's talking about, but notice that it's 210.19. So that is the upfront information. Okay, so that's probably where I'm going to be bold scanning from, but let's go further. Let's look around. Really quickly, it doesn't take you long to do this. Okay. Emergency, nothing to do with it, nothing to do with that, nothing to do with that, nothing to do with that. Okay, I'm just looking to see. Nothing to do with that, nothing to do with that. See how quickly you can do it? Nothing to do with that, nothing to do with that. Yeah, there's ratings, but that's specific, okay, 430, so you know that's specific to motors. Now, here's another one, individual. We're talking about overcurrent protection. Notice that's 210.20, so it's right around that 210.19. But, I'm just looking. And say ratings, information, yada, yada, yada. Nothing important. Marinas, no. Motion, multiple, no. Multi-circuit break, no. No. Overcurrent devices, no. Let's see here. I'm just trying to see if there's anything that can spark here's permissible loads. That's 210.22. I'm noticing all those things are around. Now, ratings. Part 2. I don't know a number, but I know it's part 2. Okay, we're looking at that, saying, okay, part 2, ratings. And we're looking under branch circuit. So that's a ratings. That was in the question. So write that down, part 2. All right, so I'm just going to look and see if there's anything else. Small appliance, nah. Selection, okay, nah. Branch circuit, selection, current, nah. Okay, so that's enough for me. I know it's in branch circuits, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to do what I normally would do, and that was do my my bolt scans. So I know that it's going to be, I know that 210.19 and 20 are specifically different, right? So I'm going to be going here, and I'm going, okay, this is how it works. If I'm on an exam, I'm going, okay. First, I know that was part 2 that was talking about ratings. So I'm going to skip this stuff, and I'm going to go, okay, part 2, right here. Branch circuit ratings. That's what it said go to. So I'm going to go to the very first one, 210.18. That is to begin my journey. As you can see right here, this is the beginning of the ratings. Right here. Now, one thing I notice is these standard sizes. Ratings, so it says the ratings for other than individual branch circuits shall be 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, or 50. Okay? I'm looking at that type of thing and I'm going, huh. All right. It says branch circuit recognized by this article shall be rated in accordance with the maximum permitted ampere rating or settings of the overcurrent device. I got you. Okay. And then it says the ratings of other than individual, okay, others, individual branch circuits shall be 10, 15. Don't get me started about this 10 one real quick. You see the exception there. Don't get me started on that one. Okay. All right. I'm not going to get started on that one. Okay. All right. So in that case, I'm looking here seeing, and again, I'm noticing that it says that these are listed here for the normal ratings. So that immediately just drew me to a question. You're not going to get brain surgery-istic on this one, new word Paul make up. You're going to say, look, it's got to be, if I look at here, 210.18, the only one that doesn't make sense here, the only one that does not make sense here is this one. Okay. So that's the one we're going to check. Okay. Boom. All right. All right, let's spin the wheel, do some contests. Let's give away some stuff. We are slow on our giveaways. Jeff should be back. I think he's coming back tomorrow, so he should be getting back to normal tomorrow, that type of thing. So what's up, Steiner? Welcome. What does it say? You're a great teacher. Going to my ticket soon at the end of the month. Good. I'm glad. Hopefully you learned something. I like to think I like teaching people. Whether I'm a great teacher or not, that's to be said. There's other people who are my haters that say I'm not, and that I'm too repetitive and that I'm too long-winded. But again, that's how I teach. That's what I like. And it's how I do it. And I tell people that don't like it to piss off. And those that do like it, welcome to the show. I enjoy having people here that want to learn. And code can get boring enough. I want to learn something. Okay? So that's what I do. So I appreciate you here. Glad you're here. All right, let's spin the wheel and see if we can't get some people on the list for the giveaways here. Let's go. We're going to do 4 today because I am running behind as usual. And I don't know, Tino, if you have already... I don't know if you already won that last time. Hold on. Let me see here. Let me double check because I still have my list. Tino H, you did win the enhanced already. You should already be in that. So we're going to spin again for you. Santana says, keep spinning until I win. Appreciate it, Spark. All right, Tino H, you're registered for Trade Hog. All right, good luck with that. That's the Trade Hog Basic. Okay, 12-month access to that. We do have that set up now for the 12-month. I haven't launched it yet, but you are set up for that. So, I mean, if you win that, we'll show you how to do that. All right, let's do this again. Let's go. I think you already got a waffle, but do you want another waffle? In fact, I think it's right. Darlene has packed those up, sending those out. But I'm not sure. I hate going back. I prefer y'all just to tell me. If you don't want the wire waffle. I don't know. Anyway, Tino. Okay. I don't know that you have. So, Christopher, I'm going to put you down for it. I think you did. I think you emailed me or let me know that you got the wire waffle. But, they are limited supply. I understand they sell out very quickly. Can I use it again after the next drawing? No, you can't. Let's see. All right, let's spin again. Christopher, spin again. All right. We'll spin again for you, Christopher. George Orff, you won instant access to Fast Tracks Tube. That's our collection of videos and other things over on fasttrackstube.com. So go to fasttrackstube.com and then go up to the top where it says Members Plan. Click on Members Plan, sign up for a free plan, and then let us know and email us, and then we will elevate you to give you 12 months of access to that program. Hopefully you will continue to subscribe after your free 12 months. It's a great video platform, that type of thing. Let's spin the wheel again for Christopher. He says he doesn't want the wire waffle. Wait a minute. Christopher, you want to be a great guy? You want to give Paul a wire waffle? Paul says he wants the wire waffle. Paul says, I sure wish I could get a wire waffle. All right. So, Christopher, we got you in the drawing for a conductor length card. We'll just put conductor card on here. So that's conductor length cards. We got you in the drawing. Frank says, I do. Okay. Everybody can't be sharing the love with everybody. Let's go. All right. So let's go. So there you go. Let's spin again. Too much love going on here. We got to bring it back down now. Okay. It is Pride Month, by the way. Edgar, it says that you're in the drawing. You're in the drawing for enhanced. I'm going to double check, Edgar, and make sure that you haven't already won that. Jeff has given me the list back. Let's see here. And you may have already purchased it. We don't give refunds, bro. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to put you down for the drawing for the enhanced. Okay. All right. All right. So that's it. One more drawing for the day. Let's go. Cross your fingers. Cross your finger. Paul says, you have some old code books. What did I say about my old code books? I got no old code books, bro. I throw that shit away. Let's go. Next one. Remember that Greg has won a waffle before and says he didn't want it. Why am I thinking that? Is that true, Greg? Christopher, I see you have won the wire waffle before. I see it now. It didn't show up before, but I see you have won the wire waffle before. You haven't gotten it yet because we haven't done it. Greg. God, I got so many names. All right, Greg. I mean, literally the lists of giveaways. So, okay, we're going to assume you have it, Greg. So do me a favor. Contact us and give us your mailing address. and we will get you a waffle out. All right. Okay, folks, let's get back to me. Whoo! You've had a moment today where Paul's gone crazy and then he's come back to earth. Okay, settle down. The coffee's wearing off. And we're back, Okay, could I autograph them? It's funny you should say that. It's because I have had a few things that people have asked me to sign. But I'm just an electrician like you, brother, but I'm more than happy to sign anything you win. I don't think I can sign the waffles, though. They're black, and I don't have a silver pen. That would be cool, but you're going to put me in a building. You're going to put me in a house, and nobody's ever going to see it anyway, right? Okay. So anyway. All right. So, yeah, that's it. Okay. All right. Oh, I did have one guy ask me one time when he bought a minimalist wallet that and it's not since I've been in Virginia. This was back in Texas. And he wanted me to sign it with one of those silver Sharpies. And I did have one, and I did sign something for him. He wanted it. I got a silver Sharpie. Okay, I didn't mind doing it. But I have also signed quite a few code books for people. I had one guy, I can't remember who it was. Was it Manny? Who was it that sent me their code book to sign? And I will sign it where I'm a code panel member at. Okay, and a lot of people do collect those. Steven 120, Steven 120 volt over on TikTok. He's a guy that posts videos on TikTok. I signed his book when we were at the thing. Oh, by the way, I should mention real quick before I go. Yep, there you go, Manny. I got yours. I'm going to be in 2 weeks. I'm going to be in Vegas, and I'm only going to be there for the code hearings. So it's only like June 18th and 19th. But if you're in the area or you're in Vegas, holler at me. We can go out to dinner. I'll let you drive because I don't rent no cars out there. But I'm more than happy to meet you, chat with you. Talk to you, answer any questions you may have. Come and join the code hearings. Enjoy it. Have fun. It's a great time to learn about it. Now, if you get a chance to come early and go to the conference, the trade show, you can go to the different manufacturers and see what they got going on. I'm also going to be at NECA. And NECA's going to be in Chicago. I don't know when that is. I think that is September. Something like that. But if I'm still employed at Prismium Encore, if I'm still there, I'll be there. I'm going to be at their booth, answering questions and meeting and greeting and all that kind of stuff. So join me there if you happen to be it. That's a neat thing to go to, too, if you ever get a chance to go to a NECA. That's the one where I do recommend you walk around. They have educational sessions, too. I used to teach some of those. I don't do that anymore because the people that I'm usually with want me dedicated to the show rather than go off and teach. When I was younger, earlier, and people wanted me to teach, but now they really want me at the booths, that type of thing. So I will be there for that, and I will be meeting and greeting and all that kind of stuff. And you can come and ask any product question you want, any technical question you want. I'll get deep into whatever you want. But I am going to be there, and so that is going to be at NECA, and that's going to be in Chicago. And I don't know when that is. Google it. NECA Convention 2025. It'll tell you the dates, that type of thing. All right, folks. I appreciate all of you. Catch us tomorrow in Coffee Hour on Friday. And if you've got a topic, again, Paul did send something. He wants to talk about signs. I don't have any really good slides for signs. It's Article 600. But Paul will try to work something out and get that because you did request it. Others, you request stuff. If I have something already pre-done, I'm more than happy to talk about it. I could do signs and we just go through 600. But I usually like to have a little something to show if I'm going to do a lesson. Sometimes, most of the time. So anyway, but I've got you. We'll cover it. I do take requests. So, all right, folks. Until next time, stay safe. God bless. And thank you for indulging me today, putting up with my antics, and hope you learned something. And we'll catch you next time on Coffee Hour. Till then, take care. God bless. Stay safe. Peace.